Hello, and welcome to the Empowerography Podcast. This is a platform created for women's voices to be heard and a place to share their stories, journeys, and successes with the world for the purpose of helping other women who might be on similar journeys. We are empowering women one episode at a time. I'm your host, Brad Walsh, so kick back, grab one of your favorite beverages, and enjoy the stories. You've got a story to share, a message to inspire, and a passion ready to ignite. But where do you start? The world is waiting for your voice. With From Idea to Implementation, Start Your Own Podcast, you'll get the roadmap to turn your vision into reality. This isn't just a course, it's your launching pad. Step by step, we'll break down the process from defining your purpose to recording your first episode so you can finally share your voice with confidence. Stop overthinking it and start doing it. Your voice has the power to connect and lead. Are you ready to use it? Join the waitlist today. Your podcast journey starts now. The world is waiting. You can find the link to sign up for the waitlist in the show notes. We'll see you soon. Hello there, Brad Walsh here, your host of the Empowerography Podcast, a platform that was created to help elevate and amplify the voices of women through sharing their stories. Today, my guest is Jen Oliver. She is a highly relational speaker, a coach, a group facilitator, the founder and owner of Speaking Real Communications, a writer, a podcast host, and the director of curation and speaker coach for TEDx Folsom. Welcome, Jen. How are you?
Brad, I love being with you. I love talking to you and any of your people. So this is going to be a fun conversation. It's really good to be here. So good to hang with you.
Yes, it always is a pleasure chatting with you, Jen. And I know it's going to be an amazing conversation because every time that you and I talk, it's always fun and amazing. So with that being said, let us jump right in. I would love to know, for starters, what inspired you initially to step into the world of public speaking, and what was your first public speaking experience like?
Okay. What's funny is I feel like I've always been speaking to some degree. That's probably the extrovert performer in me. So I cannot even tell you when my first one is, but I can tell you what drew me into this arena was actually a number of years ago. I started my career later in life, and I was getting a master's degree in organizational leadership. And all of the classes on communication just spoke to me. And I was speaking, and I wanted to start teaching in that capacity with regard to communication, because what I realized was it's the hinge everything swings upon, for good or for bad, right? Whether it's our relationships, whether it's our organizations, whether it's moving our businesses forward, whether it's policy, whatever it is, communication is the hinge everything swings upon. And I just saw that and I went, yeah, that's an arena I need to be in. And elevating and amplifying the voices of women, I mean, that is, you and I use the same phrases in our work. And I also just believe so wholeheartedly in making sure women don't feel silenced and that they don't leave important ideas, lived experience, stories, wisdom on the table. I just think the world misses out when we don't have that. So all of that kind of folded together to create me going into this work in a variety of ways.
This beautiful recipe.
Yeah.
I love it. What is one lesson, Jen, that you learned early in your speaking career that you still apply today?
That you need to show up as you. This is probably the biggest thing I capitalize as a speaker coach and that makes me a little bit different. I'm so about them being them, not following formulas, not doing, I call it lipstick on a pig. I mean, it's such an unsavory thing that, there's a lot of coaches that will go, okay, stand here, do this eye contact, do this with your hands, now do this with your body. And I go, I'd rather just you get dialed up as you. And let's turn that up a notch so that you show up really honest and real and connective. I think that's far more powerful. And so I would say, yeah, that's the lesson I learned, is trying to be impressive, because I tried to be impressive and be that person who did it all right and followed the formulas on a stage or in a speaking situation. And people aren't turned on by impressive per se. It's not sticky and memorable, but impact, being a person of impact who has something important to say because there's value in it for people. That's what I learned early on.
I think the formulaic and the strategies laid out in that way, or the structures laid out in that format, come across as very inauthentic. You're not being who you are. So your message is not going to be perceived or received as authentic when you do that.
Yeah. It's a little bit like I always say, stay away from being a cookie cutter speaker. Or if you're I'll liken this to many people in a faith environment. I can remember in my faith space for many years, it was how profound fire and brimstone could you be at the pulpit, screaming, yelling, making just these profound, powerful, emotional appeals. And it felt like everyone was trying to duplicate that, no matter what a house of worship I might be in. And it all felt the same, and it felt a little disingenuous to me. And yeah, I don't think we're all meant to look and feel the same. It's not memorable.
No, it's not. As Jen, what lights you up, inspires, and excites you the most about the work that you do?
Oh, I know you're going to get this because it translates to what you do too. It is seeing a woman go from being literally so constricted in her throat, and I have my hands around my throat right now for a reason. I work with women who I sense they are constricted and they have hands choking them metaphorically because they have been silenced or shut down or told they didn't have value or needed to stay small and quiet to stay safe. There's a whole host of reasons. And when I see that woman come out of that place, feel safe in her body to then express herself and say something that is of value to her or voice a need or tell her story, and she's coming from a more rooted, grounded place, and suddenly I sense that constriction is gone. She's dropped into her body. She's not talking up here like this. And I sense her liberation. I sense it in her body, how good she feels in her skin, speaking her truth. And it's like she's liberated. Her whole world is different, and she shows up differently everywhere. As a result, that is the best freaking feeling, to see them feeling that good. Oh, I love it.
It is incredible to give people, women specifically, because we both work with women predominantly, to give them that platform and that stage to share their journeys or their stories or their experiences with the world. You see an energetic shift when they step into who they authentically are and feel comfortable, which is incredibly important, is that they feel comfortable enough to step into that space and share. And then when that comfortability comes, there comes the vulnerability, which then, of course, creates the relatability, which it's all tied in together. And that is a beautiful triage of three different things that coming to culminate that help bring that true identity out of that person, out of that woman.
And I don't want to leave men out of this because I love men. I don't feel they should be neglected in this conversation. And I would say if you took that exact same statement and turned it around, men will often show up in ways because they've been taught by the culture, by patriarchal influences, whatever it is, that they need to assert in demand or maybe be angry, or there's a whole veneer they have to operate under too. And they don't feel they can drop into who they are and show up more real or vulnerably or truthfully. And so I feel such compassion for any human who cannot be and show up as their truest self. And that's its own precursor work. I mean, we can keep going, but
absolutely,
men in this too, because it's hard. It's hard for everybody. And then you've got all these people communicating or not connecting because, their proxies have shown up.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely. Thank you for inputting that piece of it too, because you're right. It is important. And I was just having a conversation yesterday with a woman about how difficult it is for men right now to show up because they're so confused about how to show up and can they show up as this, even though they're trying to portray this. And there's so many different facets to this. And men are struggling. A lot of men are struggling right now, for sure.
I agree.
So thank you for sharing the insight on that. It's very important.
Absolutely.
Jen, what were some of, if you had any, your fears or obstacles that you had to overcome to become a confident speaker?
Okay. This is going to be more relational for a minute. I would say most of my work has been informed by what I needed. You know how they say, I think it's actually a Buddhist proverb, but it's you're called to the work you need yourself. So I could stand on a stage. I could be extroverted. I could speak with a microphone. That's easy. But if you look at showing up in personal conversations, I was definitely the people pleaser, dance around the subject, sugarcoat, say the thing that's the soft place to land, keep everybody happy, etc. So I think when I learned that to be the most confident, what's the word I want? To be the most confident human and speaker, it was saying the truest thing and not worrying that I was so dangerous that I was going to destroy them. I remember a coach said to me recently, she goes, you give yourself a lot of damn credit for being so harmful that you don't say the truest thing to somebody. Give them the dignity of their response. Give people the dignity of, I know, right? Yeah, that's a damn good coach, my friend.
Yeah,
I'm still unpacking that, Brad Walsh. I'm still unpacking. But it was that I need to give people the dignity of their response. That suddenly gave me confidence as the person speaking to go, here is what's true for me. I'd like to share this with you. I'm going to allow you the dignity of your response, and I'm not responsible. I'm going to share it in a truthful, respectful way, but I'm not going to destroy you just because it's not what you wanted to hear. So suddenly I had this confidence. Oh, I can show up and say the real thing, the true thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. That relational piece is tough because you're right. You know, you're speaking with people and you don't want to say things that offend them, but you also don't want to hold back your thoughts and opinions. And this is I think, again, I was speaking about this yesterday. It's such an important conversation is an art form. It really is. Oh. And so many people don't know how to converse properly that, I mean, for me, I think that listening is one of the biggest pieces of a conversation. And I always say this, we were given 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. Use these more than you use this. But you could, it's like when you're having conversations with certain people, you can almost see it in their eyes that they're just waiting to respond instead of actually sitting back and listening. We also need to go into conversation, I think, relational conversation with an open heart, an open mind, and open ears, because you may walk away from that conversation with a completely new, different perspective that you never even considered. And we also, one last piece about this is we need to approach conversation with curiosity. How did you arrive at the way you think?
Right.
What shape? How do you come up with this opinion? We may not agree, and that's okay. We're not going to agree with everyone, and that's totally fine. We're not in conversation to change each other's minds. We're in conversation to exchange ideas. That's it. Get curious about why if something perplexes you about the way someone thinks, ask them, how did you arrive at this way of thinking? Like, where did this come from for you? I'd really like to know.
Yeah. And I want to dovetail off of that for a minute, because one of the things I say, both in my podcast and in my work and in my conversations with other people in community, I don't necessarily want to use the phrase all the time, oh, I'm coming together and having conversations with like-minded people. I actually don't necessarily want to have conversations with everyone who's with me. The whole point is that's my echo chamber. I desperately need to get out of it. But there's the through line. I call it like-hearted. What if we can be like-hearted? What if we can go into a conversation knowing we may differ completely in our viewpoint, our lived experience, but if we're like-hearted and there's a generosity and there's that sense of curiosity and there's the deep listening, how much different can that be, that conversation or that exchange? And you reminded me of something when you said listening. In the Woman Speak method, which I am a practitioner and a leader in, we use this phrase called fertile listening. And we say that in our groups, we practice fertile listening, which means listening so deeply for another woman that she cannot help but blossom in our presence. And I think you just spoke to that too, that depth of listening, instead of knowing. I used to be that person who was trying to think of the next clever thing to say, and they're kind of disengaged. Let's not worry about it. The right thing, if we're dropped into our body, will be said, and let's deeply drop in and hear what they have to say with that spirit of inquiry. I love that you presence that.
Thank you. Yeah, I think those are the key elements to conversation. It's what it's about.
Yeah.
Be curious, ask questions, listen more than you speak.
Yep.
It's so important. And so many people, I did a poll once in my group asking people if they thought they were good listeners. And of course, I would say about 85 to 90% of them, yep, I'm a good listener.
Yeah.
I can almost guarantee about half of that 85% are not good listeners.
Yeah.
And it really is this skill set. You have to practice it. It's not easy. And we all have to work at it. It's a constant work in progress. So it's very important, though, if you want to be able to hold conversation with people, you've got to work on it for sure.
I totally agree.
Now, they say that public speaking is often described as people's worst fear or greatest fear. Why do you think humans are so terrified of using their own voice? And what can we do, or how can we reframe that fear so that they don't feel so paralyzed when it comes to public speaking?
Yeah. Here's what I see is there's two things at play here. So first of all, some people, why are they so terrified? I think it's because historically in their upbringing, maybe it was their family of origin, maybe it was the culture they were in, maybe it was the school, the coach, the teacher, the faith practice, whatever, that they were not shown that their ideas, their words had value. And in fact, when they did try to speak their truth or share something, they got some form of a negative response. And that's just painful. And so you want to avoid that at all costs, whether it's somebody laughed, whether it is somebody dismissed you, whether it's you spoke your truth and you got negative blowback and it was like, you will not say that. You are not allowed to feel that. It takes all manner of form and function. And so I think there are some that just go, it's not worth it. I don't want to endure the pain of sharing something or speaking, because your voice, it's an intimate instrument. It is a reflection of you.
Yeah.
When you share something and then to have it slapped away or have it shushed or have it silenced or have it yelled at is very painful. So I think that's at play. But what I also see, and the reframe that I think is incredibly valuable, is one of the things I've learned in my coaching and the work I do is that there is energy in speaking and saying something that feels a little more high stakes, whether it's energy to have a hard conversation with someone you love, to energy to stand on a stage, to stand up in front of a group, in front of a classroom or in a boardroom. That takes more energy, because that's a lot of energy coming at you, whether it's the people in the room or the stakes that feel really high because it's a weighty matter. You need energy to meet that, or that's going to bowl you right over. So I'm putting my hands together for those who can't see me to go, if that's the energy coming at you and you need energy to meet it, yeah, there's going to be a lot of energy going on in your body. Okay, if that's true, but we have framed that and labeled it culturally as fear of public speaking, anxiety, something is inadequate with me because I'm feeling this in my stomach right now. We have created a framework around it that's made it something bad, something to be bullied into submission, something that I've got to manage these nerves. No, what if we could reframe it? And instead of going, this is something I have to tame or get rid of so I can show up confidently, no, partner with it. It's energy there that is in service to you to meet the moment. And once you know that, you go, oh, this isn't my enemy right now, but I've labeled it this, or the culture's taught me that this is somehow an indicator of my inadequacy and something's wrong with me and I don't feel confident, so therefore I don't have value. See all the bullshit? Sorry,
yeah.
I swear.
No, yeah, oh yeah, yep.
What? Brad doesn't swear.
No, not me.
Yeah, but I call BS on it because it really is, and it cripples people. And so if you think about it now with that, those two lenses, I hope that, feels supportive and changes someone's mind on it.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Jen. And yes, of course you can swear on my podcast.
Fuck yeah.
I swear like a trucker. There you go. Let's just swear for the fuck of swearing. Jen, have you ever bombed a speech or felt like you failed one? And how did you recover from it?
Okay, I'm going to give you something from yesterday.
Okay.
Let's just talk in real time.
Yeah.
I don't know that I've ever bombed a speech per se. I think we're really hard on ourselves. I think I might have thought I bombed and other people were like, it was great, you were fine. So that's really subjective. But I can tell you I had a communicational failure yesterday with my own kid who just needed to be heard. And I swooped in with fixing, assertiveness, parenting. This is not a child. This is a 21-year-old. And this guy said to me, "You are making me feel small."
Wow.
I know, it makes me sick. I am so grateful, first of all, that he spoke his truth. Second of all, that I was just trying to step in and be the parent. But I wasn't stopping and listening. Okay, what's your thoughts? What's your plan for this situation? Instead, it was like, I got to fix it. I know better, but yet I jumped into fix mode and not listening or being curious. Everything we've just talked about. That's why I tell my clients, I'm still in it with you all. I have not cornered the market on crushing it. I still struggle because my humanness wants to jump in and fix and not listen and offer the solutions. And then it made him feel small. And so to me, I think that's a really prime example, is looking at those situations. And for me, that's more of the failure, is how did I leave someone feeling after our communicational exchange? And I really want to show up differently and better for that.
Isn't that the saying, right? People remember how you make them feel, not what you say.
Totally. Yep. Yeah.
For sure.
100%.
Wow, that's powerful. Thank you for sharing that vulnerable moment, Jen. I really appreciate you being vulnerable and sharing that personal experience. Amazing.
Well, repairing it for anyone who feels that. I repaired it this morning. I just said, "Bud, I am so sorry. That was not my intention. And I want to listen more deeply. How can I listen to you today? How can I be of support as opposed to telling you?" And, it's a new day, and God love that kid.
Love it. Awesome. But see, I think there too, as a parent, admitting when you're wrong.
Yes.
And apologize, owning the shit, right?
Yeah.
For sure.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah. Through the work you do, Jen, you've coached countless speakers. What is the one thing in your mind that separates a speaker who is simply good from someone who is incredibly or utterly magnetic as a speaker?
Oh, it goes back to what we were talking about earlier. Remember, we were talking about impact over impressive and formulaic. And I've seen lots of amazing polished speakers that every word is pronounced. They have just the right pauses. They move and use the stage, and they do command an audience. But I think the magnetic, so that's a good and impressive speaker. I think magnetic is someone who's incredibly real and authentic and convicted in whatever way is true to them. It's like they lean in, they know their worth. They're incredibly connected to themselves, which enables them to show up more whole and connect to the people in the audience. And the audience feels that. They really lean into and know their message and what they're about. And that just translates into their words. And it's sticky, it's memorable. I think often they're very good storytellers. They're willing to be pretty vulnerable and honest. That's often the case. I think utterly magnetic is about just connecting to the audience and not like fraudulently evoking emotion that's kind of like whipping people up. That's not what I mean. It is, I am connecting to you, my soul to yours, and you're stirred as a result of it. And I think that's really magnetic. And so again, that's a person showing up real and honest, even when the screwiest thing happens. If you think about it from your perspective, have you guys ever seen a talk where something went wrong or the person got unexpectedly emotional and it was suddenly super human in the way it felt? And that's the talk you were speaking about to other people. Oh my gosh, I saw this situation happen. And it was so riveting because it was so human. That's to me what's magnetic.
That relatability and that passion in the talk, right?
Yeah.
For sure. How has your own personal evolution shaped the way you coach others to speak?
That's what I talked about a few seconds ago about my son and I. And it's my own need to drop into who I am. So I started out as a speaker coach that was more, here's the formulas, here's the way to write a compelling talk. And now I offer all that, but that's the byproduct. What my real focus is, how do I help a person speak their truth? How do I help them drop into their body and out of the chatter in their head and show up real and feel good in their skin? And the rest will follow. Okay. But I had to do that. So like I embarked on an experiment this year because I said, I cannot teach things I am not willing to do myself. So
Right.
I embarked on an experiment in dating this year, Brad, because I'm single after being, oh yeah. That's a great way to check into your communication and your honesty, your vulnerability, and how you show up. And I made a commitment that after being serially married for 30 plus years, now that I'm dating, it's going to be a means of not exclusivity, dating a lot of cool souls, having really interesting communication, communicating my boundaries. I have to be in it. So that is my personal evolution. And that's made me a better speaker. That's made me show up with more authority because there's a confidence that comes from doing those hard things and having those hard, awkward conversations. I'm sorry, when you have to ask someone like when the last time they were tested for STIs, that's freaking vulnerable. Can we just go there for a minute? We're all grown-ups here. And if you're not, you should still be asking these questions. Come on. That is so freaking awkward. And I just was watching people talk and speak like that and own it like a boss, or to tell someone, you know what, I really like you, but I think our relationship's ready to be lovingly released. And you're awesome, but I want to change the dynamic of our relationship, and I don't see us dating anymore in this capacity, you know, and not trying to go, oh, but we could be coffee and have friends and be friends. Like, no, you have I can't see all the friends I have now. I can't even see, I have no time. I don't need 20 more friends. I don't.
Yeah, for sure. Knowing the Jen I know, I cannot see, going back to what you said at the beginning of your answer here, I cannot see you using a formulaic approach to coach people. Like, I just don't see it, knowing who you are, knowing the Jen that I know, because I didn't know you then. I cannot see that a method that you would use.
But it's what I was first trained in, you know, when I entered this work. And so it's all I knew. And then it didn't take long to realize, both in my own evolution as a speaker and in mentoring others, that my gift is really more of this earthier, coachier, more, you know, let's unpack our psychological junk and get it out of the way so we can show up real. And it just evolved as it was meant to.
Yeah. Do you have any tips or daily practices or habits that you could share that speakers could use to help cultivate confidence and presence?
Yeah, anything that gets you out of your head and into your body. I know I'm beating this drum over and over, but it's really the practices I teach most often. When I equip speakers with tools, each one is about getting them into this new habit, developing the new neural pathways that don't immediately jump to what the mind and the chatter's giving them, but slowing down, almost like meditation. You know, when you're meditating and they say, slow down, you're going to have a thought come your way. It is not the absence of thoughts. It is the fact that you see the thought, and with an observer's mind, you go, oh, I see you there. I'm going to set you aside right now because I am focused on my breathing, or I'm focused on this. I think the same rules apply to speaking and tools. So as an example, one thing I will tell people is, okay, connect to your breath, scan your body. Casey Baker, my mentor in this work, calls it the caress of the breath. Scan your body head to toe, look for an area of tension or energy, and just notice it. And without trying to make it be any different, send a breath there. And it's almost like it's saying to that emotion or that thought that wants to be expressed, because you guys, it's not all in your gray matter. The things you want to say are often in your body. They're in your intuition. They're in your instinct. It is not all up here. When you are tapped in and dropped into your body, the wisdom, the clarity, the right words, stories, emotions come forth more naturally. So what I tell people is, do the things that help you get into your body and slow down and pay attention to it. And then your mind is going to be a mind. It's going to throw chatter at you. Just as you could no more, Brad, I can't say to you right now, tell your heart to stop beating. I can't tell my mind to stop being a mind. It's going to think and throw us. So when you can give yourself that grace and compassion to go, oh, that's what's going on, and I'm going to just pay more attention to my body and drop in there, then I'm going to become a stronger speaker. And you can do it any time of any day, all the time, and grow that muscle, which then gets stronger with use. and you will always show up in a more confident way, and your speaking will change.
Wow. I love that fucking approach. I've never heard of that approach to doing that. And I wouldn't think that there's a lot of speaker coaches out there that approach it from more of a spiritual place when you're speaking, as opposed to just coach the formulaic, the structure. I love this approach that you're talking. I think that's absolutely incredible and very mindful.
I love the way you said it was spiritual. I didn't even think about that, but the minute that I went, oh, absolutely. It's thoughtful. It's spiritual. It's more grounded. It's a totally different approach. It's more
It is, for sure.
holistic to me. Because one of the things too is we have to remember we're a trifecta as a being, right? We have a mind, we have a spirit and soul, and we have a body. And all three inform who we are and our communications. And too often, if we're only in our mind and the soul and the body are silenced, that doesn't lend to a full communication and connection with another person.
Yeah.
And so you're right. I mean, it's all of it.
I love it. I think it's incredibly beautiful and powerful. Thank you for sharing that, Jen.
Yeah.
What would you say is one of the hardest speeches or talks that you've ever had to give? And what did it teach you about yourself as a communicator?
So for me, it definitely goes back to personal conversations more than talks on a stage. And that's for me. Okay. For others, it's the opposite. They can have a very deep, earthy conversation with one person across the table, and a stage feels frightening. So I realize this is different for everybody. But for me, the hardest ones have been the personal conversations. And I think the one that was most transformational it was actually ending my second marriage. It was a conversation with my second husband. And this is something I've talked about publicly a lot because it's been really formative to who I am and to my work and my podcasting and the stories I tell. And thankfully, he is still my best friend in the world. Is so gracious about that. But what it was realizing, I was feeling epically in not telling him the truth. We talked about this earlier. He kept saying, what's wrong? You keep saying you just want deeper conversations. You want a better marriage. And he was trying everything. And I remember him sitting on the edge of the bathtub in our master bathroom. And he looked at me just imploring, tell me what to do to make you happy. And I was like, this is so profoundly unkind that I'm still dancing around this effing subject and not telling him the truth. And it was just, I made a mistake. I rushed into this marriage. You're an amazing person, but I got married too quickly, trying to restore legacy for the first marriage and to my kids. And you're a great guy, but I'm not meant to be in this marriage. We're not meant to be husband and wife. And I had to own that. I know. And I had to say the truest thing right there. And it was an epic failure leading up to that for quite a while of me just kind of, and so he just thought, what's wrong with me? I've got to be better. If I were just better, she'd be happier. She'd want to be in the marriage. He could have done everything right. It didn't belong in the marriage.
Yeah, that's a tough fucking conversation.
It really was. And it was painful and it was hard. But I tell you what, it was a tough conversation, but it was the best thing ever because it opened up a portal for us to have truer conversations from that point forward. We lovingly released the marriage. We are still best friends today, years later. Like, he is one of the most important people in my life, and I him. And no question, and none of that. And we both have said we would not have the relationship now if that hadn't happened. And we just tried to stay married and muscled through it. And we both celebrate our anniversary still. We each lock and have champagne on our anniversary, celebrating our unconventional best friendship and dissolution of our marriage. Who the hell does that? But we do.
Yeah, I think it's incredible, though.
Because of that conversation, though. And that gets more. And it led to more honest conversations. Because once you open that door and just get it out there, then everybody can have the dignity of their response. And they're not dealing with a fiction. Because one of the things that in the absence of true communication, we will create a fiction in our minds, where they will, far worse than what the reality is. So here he's being saddled with a fiction that was far worse than the truth of the matter.
Wow. In that moment, the self-awareness and this, like, that must have hit you like a ton of bricks.
Yeah.
Okay? Holy shit. I have to speak my truth now.
Yeah.
This has to happen. And I could only imagine what he was feeling, thinking, what the fuck else can I, like I'm doing is tell me what the fuck I need to do.
That's exactly what, Brad, that's precise. Yeah.
I mean, kudos to you both for moving through it and having the conversation, but to now be best friends and to have that better relationship and that better connection and better communication, I think that's incredible.
Yeah, absolutely.
Kudos to you both.
Thank you.
Jen, if you could disrupt one norm about how public speaking is taught, what would it be?
Easy. There's like old school coaches who will say, stand there, put your hands down. Don't use your hands. Your hands are distracting. Stand a certain way. Have a certain body language. Okay, that's literally like tying someone's hands behind their back and taping their mouth closed. When you make someone stand there rigid and they can't use their hands, and that's the way they naturally communicate, then you are practically taking a hose where a flow of ideas and words are coming out and you're kinking it. And the words may be coming out, but it is not feeling good or true to the speaker. And so I don't love when there's these categorical, this is the way you stand, this is the way you engage with an audience, this is the way you look at their eyes, or there are techniques that are tools that can be useful, but not these categorical, you must do this with your body, because that's not true for every speaker. And then what you're doing is shutting them down, because then all they can think about, instead of connecting with the audience and really relating and saying what they need to say, all they can think about is, oh my God, my hands. Oh my God, keep your hands down, keep your hands down. And that, I mean, that's like a chatter in the head that then suits the message and the connection with the audience, and they feel that.
Absolutely. I agree with you 100%. So in a world, as we've talked about, we've mentioned polished speakers and the polished look and all of these things, perfectly curated content, because everyone's trying to put out the perfect piece of content and all the things. How does the speaker avoid sounding rehearsed or inauthentic, but still have that polished feeling or that polished look? Is it even possible?
Yeah, it is. But here's the thing. Every speaker is different again. And this is why I dial into what that particular speaker, their method is. So let me give you 2 examples. One person absolutely lives and dies by memorizing a script and then learning it, rote, verbatim, and delivering that. And they feel like that gives them the freedom, now that the words are secure and in them, that they then can show up and deliver in a way that feels real to them. Okay, so that might be their preparation method, might be literal memorization. Okay, that personally is not what works for me, and it's not what works for most people I know. So I coach in kind of a true north speaker method, which is you have worked on, you have fashioned your script as an example, you have practiced it, you have read it into your voice memo recorder, and you've played it back to yourself over and over and over when you're out on a walk, when you're putting on your makeup, when you're cooking dinner. You've played it like a song, and it just kind of becomes part of your DNA because you wrote the talk. So it's in there. And then trust that I have a few key tenets of this talk. I have a few bullet points, and I'm going to show up knowing I'm going to cover these things, and I'm going to just talk about them. I'm going to talk about point 2. I'm going to talk about point 3. And then it's just relating with the audience. So there's a lot of wiggle room between all of those because each speaker is different. So what I encourage them to do is go, what is the way that works for you? And try different methods when you have to deliver something and go, okay, am I the bullet point person? Do I have a few notes? Do I need to have this completely memorized? I had one speaker, it was like Morse code. He put on we had a confidence monitor. It was for TEDx on the floor. And he had like A, B, D, G. I mean, I'm literally pointing. It was like weird letters, looked like Morse code, but it was letters. But that is how he tracked his whole talk. They were just first letters of first sentences. I still can't make sense of it. I cannot. But it worked great for him. He was like a 10 editor's pick. He was an 18-year-old.
Wow. Holy
like,
shit.
I know.
Wow.
Everyone's different. So I think I can't offer one tried and true way because I want you to tailor it to who you are. Everyone has a different learning modality. You think, you process different, you recall differently. I had one speaker as a dyslexic thinker, and she saw in story boxes. So she built her talk and she remembered it in boxes where she pictured story pictures.
Wow.
There were no words, but it developed her whole talk. And then she just pictured the picture and talked about it. Pictured the story box picture, talked about it. Everyone's different.
Incredible. And so this is a great segue into the next few questions.
Okay.
Speaking of TEDx, how has your journey as a TEDx director and coach shaped your understanding and power of storytelling?
Okay. So storytelling is just, it's so beautiful in that it can make an idea that's worth transmuting, or research that needs to be shared, or a new technology or innovation. It suddenly makes it sticky and memorable and relatable. So I feel like storytelling is such a powerful and important medium. And it is also the why behind a reason somebody might be sharing an idea. So often I will tell people with the TEDx stage, I go, you guys, this isn't a biographical come do your memoir story stage. Unless it's lending to the idea you're trying to transmit, then it undergirds it. See the difference?
Yeah.
That's where I think storytelling is just really important and not to be missed. And it can be done really beautifully and artfully. And sometimes it's painting a picture and really robust. Sometimes it's just a small little vignette that drives an idea home so people, it can land and they receive it and they remember it. But I think it's essential. And I also think story is our collective language. It is the one thing we have in a language between humans, that story is, it's an anthology. We're a collection of stories. Humanity is this anthology, right? So I think it's essential.
I mean, it's been happening for centuries. I mean, women having story circles and sitting around the campfire telling story. I think it's the fabric of society.
And every sacred text is parables and stories. Everything was passed down in traditions by way of stories often. Yeah.
It brings us together.
Yeah.
It creates relatability for people. Absolutely. And so what are a few of the key elements of a powerful TEDx talk, and how do you help speakers refine those ideas?
Okay. Key elements are, first of all, you refine it. That's a perfect question in the way that you articulated it, Brad, because refining the idea is essential, because sometimes people have so many ideas and they're all worthy and there's value in them, but they have to refine it or distill it. Excuse me a second. They need to distill it down to the most essential, especially with TEDx. It's short form. It's a short little talk. You got to land something in a very short period, 17 minutes or less. And I tell people go to 6 to 12 minutes if you can, because our attention spans have changed, and you just look at the analytics for YouTube. So there's a little hint for y'all. A bit shorter. No talk to you. You're welcome. But honestly, it's distilling your idea down to what is the most essential part of this. Okay. And then what I also see is that there's a uniqueness to it. Okay. So you've got a different approach or a unique take on something. That's incredibly important too. Did I answer your question? Because now I'm going.
Yeah.
I went off on it.
Yeah. No, you got it. Yeah. Thank you.
Distill it down to be be the most successful. Is it's clear, and then be creative. That's the other. Some of the most interesting talks were not cookie cutters. Again, it might have been Molly Wright. My favorite TED Talk is the Molly Wright 7-year-old, Brad. You guys. 7. Molly Wright on the TED stage, and I think it's called 5, something about raising children. It's amazing. And if she... I got to write that down. Right. Oh, I'm telling you. Wright with a W. Molly Wright. Okay. Little girl. It's precious. And she starts out, what if I told you a game of peekaboo could change the world? And she's talking about the need kids have for engaged parents. And wow. Oh, it's so good. But when you see her, you'll see what I mean. If she wasn't her behaving like a 7-year-old would, it would have been like, wait, what is this talk? So that's the other thing. You've got a distilled idea. It's very clear. It's very succinct. But then you show up in your unique way. And that's what I dial up in my speakers. What's unique about you and the way you show up and present this talk that's going to be different than someone else. And
Right.
like another speaker. Don't try to be like another speaker.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. Jen, I'm curious. I've never asked you this, but have you ever done a TEDx talk? And if so, what was your topic? And if not, why not?
Okay, no, I have not, which is hilarious.
That's bizarre.
I know it. And I keep thinking, gosh, Jen, you really need to do one. You really should get out. I have so many talks in me, and I haven't because it's a little bit like the cobbler's children who have no shoes. I'm always busy working, coaching, doing all these things. I create talks for other things. Heck, I was a keynote on your summit.
Yeah. Yep.
I do talks for all kinds of environments. It would not be hard to throw my hat in the ring, but I have not yet do it. And I keep saying it. So maybe because you asked me and now on a public forum, I have had to admit that I'm the TEDx executive producer, speaker coach, and director of curation who has never given the TED Talk. I've only always been behind the curtain. I mean, I go and I stand on the stage and I've spoken on our TEDx stage at length with our audiences. No, I should. I need to.
You should.
I want to.
Absolutely.
It's just,
now,
yep.
Do you have an idea for a TEDx talk that would absolutely shake people to their core?
I have a few, but honestly, I really want to. Yeah, I mean, I feel a lot of pressure to make it count, right? Especially given everything I've said here. It's what can I bring that's going to be different and interesting here? Because so much, here's the thing you need to know too about me. I'm super biographical. Most of my speaking is me relaying my real life. Okay. And like I said earlier, the TED stage is an ideas stage first, not a personality or biographical stage. And so I feel hard pressed to go, Jen, make sure you practice what you preach here. What's your actual idea that's new and fresh and different? Because just showing up as real you is not fresh, new, or different. How do I convey it in a way that has that power and that idea? So, I mean, that's something I need to look at and work on because I am so much of a relay your own story, tell your own story person. That's the hallmark of my own speaking and my career.
Okay. Now, as mentioned off the top, you're also the host of a podcast. You've mentioned it, and I have had the honor and pleasure of being a guest on your podcast. Can you share with us a little bit about the podcast, the title, what it's all about, what inspired you to actually start a podcast?
Yeah, it's called Listen for Real. It's on all of the various outlets. I think there's about 78, maybe 80 episodes. And this became something I wanted to do because I got called out on social media for being, that's what happened. So I've always been a podcast lover and aficionado. I always love real earthy conversations, as you've gathered. I was called out on social for being a xenophobic racist because I made a comment. Yes, I made a comment on someone else's post that I thought was pretty benign. But what I didn't realize was to some people, like it really sent a different message. And I was horrified. I felt so embarrassed. But in the moment, I wanted to defend and explain and rationalize. And so I went into my little echo chamber and researched all the things that would somehow justify why I said what I said. And I didn't mean harm. And I realized, oh my gosh, I've been in an echo chamber, as so many of us are, an echo chamber where I have certain beliefs. I have certain views. I have a myopic viewpoint that's rarely challenged because it's always neatly reinforced. I hang around with the same like-minded people. I'm in the same, institutions where everybody thinks like I think. And so I went, okay, I'm this American-born, heteronormative, cisgendered, white, conservative and Christian underpinnings was my past underpinnings. And they informed how I thought, to my socioeconomic status, to my education level, and everything was neatly reinforced, this little echo chamber. So I said, I'm going to start a podcast called Listen for Real. And I am going to endeavor to invite people who can expand my perspective and hopefully help me shift my paradigms where necessary. And I want to hear their lived experience, their wisdom, their background, their worldview, their opinions on something. And hopefully it differs from me. That's why I bring them there, because in some way they've differed so they can expand my perspective. And so that's the premise behind it. And I'm building a second one right now with my partner, Casey Baker, in this work. She's my colleague, and it's coming out in Q2. And it's about empowering women to say the truest thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Do you have a name for it
Yes.
that you could share?
Yes, it's Just Say the True Thing.
Oh, okay. Awesome. Congratulations on working
Thanks.
on that. And that is a very powerful why for starting a podcast. Holy
Yeah, but
shit.
it's changed me, Brad. Like that, to that
Mhm.
point, that has informed my work, because
Yeah.
my view on the world, who I am now, is so radically different from the way I look at life spiritually to who I am, how I relate in my relationships, how I operate in business, how I coach people. It is all different because I embark on conversations like that in my life and on the podcast. And hopefully it encourages other people to do the same in their life.
Yeah. Yeah. Amazing. What do you think your unique skill set or superpower is that's helped you become successful?
I'm really relational. People will say to me, "Oh my gosh, I feel like you're my new best friend. I feel like you make me feel so welcome." When I hold space, especially for women in my women's circles, etc., I'm really determined that it feels like a space of welcome, that it feels like sisterhood. And so I hear that a lot, that people feel very close to me. They feel like we're best friends immediately.
Mhm.
And so I'm connective. I also am super open. Pretty much I'll open the kimono and share almost anything, to the point it's almost ridiculous. And there's some things I just should not share, Brad.
And Jen, filter.
Yeah, filter like TMI. But I think a lot of people do love that, because they're like, my God, you're so real. You're so funny. You're so silly. You're so ridiculous. And so I think that's made people feel at ease. So then when I'm coaching them and when I'm building my business and building my communities, people feel drawn in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Beautiful. Thank you.
You.
Speaking of success, how do you define that word? What does success mean to you?
Knowing your own worth, leaning into it, owning it, living into it, operating as such. I think that's also how I define empowerment. If you think about
Okay.
you speak about empowered.
Yeah.
And I think it's empowered and success. Those feel synonymous to me as I define it, with leaning into your worth, knowing your worth.
Okay. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to jump into a little rapid fire section. So the next portion of your questions just be 1, 2, 3 word answer type.
Okay, here we go. Oh my God, we should have been doing it all along. This is like a 5-hour podcast, y'all. Take a nap, come back. I got you. Sorry. I told you.
If you could be remembered for one thing, what would it be?
Love and candor. Being candid. Yeah.
Yeah. If you could teach the world one thing, what would it be?
I want to say love and candor again, but let's give you another word. If I can teach the world one thing, slow down, listen.
Slow down. Okay. What is one thing you love about yourself that is not related to your physical appearance?
I love that I just enjoy people. I love meeting people. I love being in relationship with people.
How would you describe yourself in one word?
Gorgeous.
If you had a theme song that played every time you walked into a room, what song would it be?
I will use, only because this is the first one that just comes to my mind, is Party in the USA by Miley Cyrus, because that was my alarm that woke me this morning. And it was like, put my hands up, playing my song.
Awesome.
That's probably it.
All right, beautiful. That concludes our rapid fire section. Now back to our regularly scheduled program. I created a bonus question for you. If you could take one feeling or one belief and bottle it and give it to people, what would it be?
One feeling bottled that I can give to people.
Or belief. One feeling or belief.
Belief that they matter.
Beautiful. That's a powerful one.
They matter, because it either all matters or nothing matters. We matter. We all matter.
Yep. What is one lesson your career has taught you that you think everybody should learn at some point in their life?
To listen more deeply.
If you could step into my shoes, what question would you have asked yourself that I didn't ask you?
I don't know. You had 12,000 questions. I don't think I could.
I'll take that as a compliment.
And I'm like, wow. We're going to spend a week talking, because Brad and I can talk.
Yes.
And then I am never lacking in words. So somebody will ask me a question. I could not possibly give you one more. I could not.
Okay.
I don't know, because you have covered it. You've asked so many good questions. I mean, I love talking to you, Brad. You are the best.
I love talking to you too, Jen. You're awesome. We always have a great conversation when we chat. So
we do.
If you had the opportunity to sit down and have a 1-hour conversation with one woman, any woman in the world, who would it be and why?
I find this really hard. I really do, because there's so many. My instinct always goes, and everyone probably answers this, and they say Oprah Winfrey. But here's the only reason why is because I feel a lot like her. I see conversation, I see relation, I see what I do actually very similar to her. Even though I'm in a different line of work, I feel like her, and I feel like her secret sauce in some ways was mine. And I'd want to just glean more from her. I'd want to learn more about also how she's managed all of the things she's taken in. She's an eternal learner like I am. I always want to be growing, learning, changing, never staying the same, never staying stagnant. And so I think I could still glean so much more at her feet.
Yeah.
And be friends with her. Like she and I are pals.
Oprah. Give me hanging out with her.
Oprah, call me, sis. Let's do it. I'll tell Gail. Do this.
I love it. If you could go back, Jen, and give your younger self one piece of advice, what would that piece of advice be?
Oh, listen to yourself. Get out of your head. Oh my gosh, there was so much instinct and intuition and good things I needed to listen to or say or voice that I just shut down and ignored because I wanted to be pleasing or be liked. And I would have listened more deeply to myself and my intuition, knowing some things were for me, some things weren't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Last question, Jen. If you were to deliver your last 30-second speech to the world, your tribe, your corner of the world, your people, what would that last 30 seconds sound like? What words of wisdom would you impart?
Again, you matter. You are such a gorgeous, vibrant soul, each one of you. And I just invite you to breathe deep into that and show up in the world in a way that feels good and true to you, because we need you. We want you here. You're a gorgeous soul, and we're glad you're here.
Beautiful. Jen, thank you so much. As I knew and expected, it was a beautiful, powerful, fun as always conversation with you. I love connecting and chatting with you every time we get an opportunity to chat. I love it. So thank you so much for being here today, for sharing a little bit about your story, your journey, and the beautiful light you put out into the world through the work you do. It's always an honor and a pleasure. And I'm honored to have you as a member of the Empowerography community. So thank you.
Thank you for having me. Love our talks. Love your crew of amazing souls. And I mean, there's no better place. So you've got an amazing community, and they all just feed and nourish each other. And I love that. I respect that greatly.
Thank you so much, Jen. Could you share with the people listening where they can connect with you if they want to learn more about you, the work you do, if they want to connect with you to work with you?
Oh,
please?
Absolutely. It'd be an honor. Real Jen Oliver. So realjenoliver.com. That's also my handle on all the socials. So Real Jen Oliver on Insta and Facebook and YouTube and LinkedIn. Jen Oliver actually on LinkedIn. So all those places you can find me, and I would love to be connected to you.
Beautiful. Jen, thank you so much. Once again, my name is Brad Walsh, host of your Empowerography podcast. Today, my guest has been Jen Oliver. She is a highly relational speaker, a coach, group facilitator, the founder and owner of Speaking Real Communications, a writer, podcast host, and the director of curation and a speaker coach for TEDx Folsom. Jen, thank you so much. I hope you have a beautiful rest of your day.
Oh, you too. Thanks so much for having me, Brad.
Thanks, Jen. Thank you very much for listening to this podcast. If you haven't yet, please be sure to subscribe, rate, review, and share with all your friends. You can find me at visuphoria.ca, follow me on Instagram at Empowerography Podcast, and on Facebook at Empowerography. Please join me next time for another inspirational story from yet another amazing woman.